Think awesome. Thanks. Hi everyone. My name is Chloe and my pronouns are she and they. I am NEADS lead researcher. Thank you for sharing this space with us. I am a white queer settler. They ultimately signify that I benefit from resources and resources generated and disseminated by First Nations, Métis, and Inuit persons, indigenous disabled persons, as well as two-spirit peoples. I currently reside on the traditional territory of the Atawataha, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples to the territory of the Algonquin peoples will forever be my own, and where I first learned from indigenous communities. As a community-based researcher and a doctoral student, I am continuously learning about the intersections between disability and indigeneity, and ultimately our society further marginalizes these intersections. Through my work, I commit myself to unlearn knowledge embedded in colonialism and recognize the systems of oppression that remain at the forefront of education. I strive to improve my own learnings of the world that I readily benefit from.
You ready for me to step in, Chloe?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Katya Newman, and I am NEADS's Financial Assistance Programs Director, as well as co-manager of the Building Employment Pathways project. So a little bit about NEADS. NEADS, or the National Educational Association of Disabled Students, is a by and for cross-disability, cross-Canada charitable organization that supports full access to post-secondary education and employment for students and graduates with disabilities. Our work revolves around three key strategic program areas, which are student experience in class and on campus, disabled student debt reduction, and student and graduate employment. NEADS offers a wide variety of events, resources, reports, and financial assistance programs to support students and graduates with disabilities. We collaborate with a number of post-secondary stakeholders, other non-governmental organizations, disability service providers, and other community members to improve opportunities in higher education and the labor market for persons with disabilities. We also provide ongoing advice to Employment and Social Development Canada and other provincial and territorial governments and work to promote government programs and services that support higher education for persons with disabilities. Next slide. So this webinar today is made possible by our Virtual Access for All project. Our Virtual Access for All project was a 2-year project with a subsequent 2-year extension that is generously funded by Employment and Social Development Canada's Supports for Student Learning program. This project aims to support students as they navigate post-secondary education. This project aims to recognize the persistence needed to prevail within these institutions. We strive to offer programming with mutual care and collaboration, which creates spaces for discussion and resource sharing. Some elements of the Virtual Access for All project include webinars such as this one, our cross-country hybrid State of the Schools tour stops, quarterly State of the Schools reports, the expansion of our financial assistance program, and this project also supported our accessibility resilience program that operated during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. So a little bit about how the Building Employment Pathways project came to be. So the Building Employment Pathways project was funded through the Workplace Opportunities Removing Barriers to Equity program. Projects funded through this program were intended to increase representation of marginalized persons within federally regulated sectors. This project began with a partnership with Canada Post, as well as a number of other non-governmental organizations in the disability space, including the Council of Canadians with Disabilities, ICAPS, the Quebec Association for Equity and Inclusion in Post-Secondary, and the Manitoba League of Persons with Disabilities. The initial goal was to increase the number of disabled folks employed in and exploring employment opportunities within the postal and courier service sector. We started off with a pretty narrow recruitment process where folks were provided with the opportunity to enroll if they had applied to our NEADS Student Awards program. And very excitingly, this past summer, we took steps to expand eligibility to the wider disability community. Um, so the Building Employment Pathways program is now open to folks who are interested in exploring opportunities within other federally regulated sectors as well as within other organizations outside of the direct federal space. Folks can now participate who are unemployed and who are looking for opportunities, whether they be practicums, internships, summer employment, or full-time jobs within their career. Folks can also already be employed and be looking for support with such aspects as disclosing and discussing accommodations, as well as navigating issues of organizational disability culture, or looking for support with lateral moves or promotions. The main eligibility criteria at this point is that folks be within 5 years of some sort of enrollment in some form of post-secondary education. We're pretty excited to now be supporting participants coast to coast in a wide variety of sectors and across multiple different industries. Next slide. And now I will hand you off to one of our lovely job coaches, Rachel.
Thanks, Katya. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Rachel. I am the lead coach for the Building Employment Pathways program. I'm excited to present a little bit about what happens in the day-to-day, what job coaching is, and of course, introduce you to some of the fabulous coaches who join me in supporting students across the country. So what is a job coach? You may have heard the term job coach before. A job coach is a person who supports in employment skills building, job preparation, job maintenance, career progression. So things like job applications, interview supports, on the jobs, negotiating and discussing job modifications and accommodations. This can be done one-on-one as well as in group settings. And they are often employed by community and employment services, or they may be self-employed. However, the way that we do things in the Building Employment Pathways coaching program is a little bit different. We do take a holistic approach to our coaching, meaning that we focus on all the factors that impact a person's ability to find and maintain employment. So this could be things like health, financial, meeting your basic needs, your interpersonal relationships, etc. We take a person-centered approach, meaning that our approach is tailored to the person, their needs, and their goals. So what one approach is done for one participant may look different to another participant engaged in the program. We also look at things like personal development, career planning. We may do some skills assessment, as well as helping folks to navigate systems and provide resources. We do use the Sustainable Livelihoods approach, and we will provide a link to you in the chat that gives you a little bit more information about this approach. But essentially, the job coaching approach using the Sustainable Livelihoods approach builds on a person's motivation. So the coaches use a technique called motivational interviewing to pull on a person's desire and motivation. We are also a strengths-focused type of coaching. So we focus on folks' strengths, what they bring, their interests, their knowledge, and building upon these strengths, knowledge, and identifying resources and supports to help continuation with this building. It is participant driven. So, folks come to us, they may have goals in place. The coaches are here to facilitate the goal, the reaching of goals and any types of resources, but ultimately it is the participant who is letting us know what they would like to work on and how we can support them. So the main components that we look at are asset mapping. So an asset in the context of this program is resources that an individual may have and focus on building, said resources or assets, identifying barriers that may prevent an individual from being able to achieve their goals, participate in employment or their wider community, providing strategic development on achieving said goals and integration, and then, as I mentioned before, connecting to supported networks. The coaching format, if you will, typically is about 20 hours with a job coach. Meetings take place over Zoom as well as intermittent email communication. Once you are enrolled in the program, you will receive an initial email from your coach, providing you an overview of the program, an introduction to them, and how to book your first session with the coach, as well as the consent form for the program. The first meeting is typically a meet and greet with your coach. You'll get some information about the program, opportunities to ask some questions, and your coach will ask you some questions to further get to know a little bit about you. If this is something that you are interested in, then you go on to book your second meeting. And this is typically when the further getting to know you, further getting information takes place. So the coach will work to identify the participants' current assets and resources, as well as goals, development of the goals, and sort of the format to which you will continue to reach your goals. And then the meetings following that will be check-ins, seeing how things are going, brainstorming any road bumps to achieving the goals, connection to any resources, etc. And intermittently, there will be a check-in to see how the goal is going. Again, any bumps that may have come up and how to overcome said road bumps. If the participant requires accommodation or has a specific request to the coach, this can be made in response to the initial email that the participant will receive, as well as on the coach's scheduling app. There is a section in which the participant can identify any accommodations or considerations in terms of communication, how they would like the session to go, or any supports they may need. And that includes captioning, receiving of notes afterwards, and recordings, as well as any sort of ASL or LSQ interpretation. So in terms of the coaching supports or typical topics that were covered, we do cover things like program and education decisions. So whether or not someone would like to continue or change programs to meet their career goals, identifying volunteer work or work experiences that can build towards these career goals, post-education, finding and preparing for internships and co-ops, developing of employment and work-related skills and refinement, career exploration if a person is unsure of what they would like to do following the completion of their education, support with job search, application, and interview preparation, as well as navigating the accommodation process, both in education, job application, as well as once the person has received a job offer, and how to navigate those conversations. We also, as Katya noted before, we do work with those folks who are currently employed, looking towards career progression, or if they would like to change jobs and careers. What job coaching does not provide: we are not mental health counseling or therapy. We are not a case management program, nor are we a specific job placement service or on-site coaching at this time. We also do not provide medical referrals. Next slide. All right, so I have the pleasure of introducing our coaches today. I am not the only person who, oh, sorry, I think we might have skipped a slide, Chloe. Oh, Chloe, I think we skipped a slide. Can you go back a couple? Yes, that one, thank you. The focus or the outcomes in which we focus on is not just helping individuals find employment, but sustainable employment, employment that will last for longer periods of time, career growth, as noted before, as well as the balance between work and life integration. So as previously noted, we look at all of the factors that impact a person's life and how these factors may play or interplay into their ability to find, maintain employment, the decisions in which they make, and the ability to manage these factors in their education, their careers, and in their communities. And of course, the ultimate goal is to ensure long-term success. So we want to ensure that any sort of skills, strategies, supports are going to help the person with their long-term success. All right, next slide. Chloe, next slide, please. All right, now I would like to introduce our wonderful coaching team. It is not just me. We have about 7 coaches as part of the coaching team so far. So as noted before, my name is Rachel. Next slide, Chloe. My name is Rachel. I am coming to you from Toronto, Ontario. I have background in career exploration, vocational assessments, and return to work. My day job, if you will, is in disability management and return to work services for those folks who are injured or illness, helping them return to work. I have a Master's of Science in Rehabilitation Science, as well as I am a certified vocational rehabilitation professional with the College of Vocational Rehabilitation Professionals, as well as a return to work disability manager. Outside of that, I am a self-proclaimed foodie, audiophile, and cinephile. I do like my music and my movies and my food. I enjoy exploring the Toronto food scene, travel, and you can always catch me planning my next adventure. My experience with this program so far has been positive. I have learned so much from the students that I've had the pleasure of working with. And I continue to learn every time that I work with them and implement it into future coaching sessions as well as into my daily life. I would like to now hand it over to Rebecca Ward, who is another coach with us today. Rebecca, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi there, everyone. Glad to be here today. My name is Rebecca Ward. I use she, her pronouns. I am currently located in Fredericton, New Brunswick. That is the First Nation of the Wolastoqiyik. Apologies to our interpreters. I wasn't able to provide you with the spelling of that word ahead of time. Yes, my background is in clinical psychology and in counseling. I have spent a lot of my work life working in social justice. I have worked with the disabled community since 2011. And I'm currently employed as an accessibility advisor at one of the universities in New Brunswick. So if you are someone who has sought accessibility accommodations, academic accommodations at your institution, you probably connected with a person who does work a lot like I do. Um, so I have been one of the first cohorts of the coaching coaches through this new coaching initiative, and it has been quite a delight to work with a variety of different students at different life stages, um, seeking different career supports. And I think what I can take away the most from this experience is how different, but also how similar, like how common thread um, some of the student concerns are. So everyone is quite unique in what they're looking to do and what their strengths are, but the process that they're going through, professionally, personally, developmentally, it kind of has a similar thread. So it's been really nice to see that process. And I think it is helpful for those entering this program to know that they're not alone, that a lot of what they might experience is quite common. So those are some of my takeaways so far through this program. Um, I guess some of interesting facts about me. I ride a motorcycle. I have a motorcycle license. I have two rescue dogs who I love very much. I have a big vegetable garden every spring and summer, and this year, well into the fall. And I really enjoy journaling, like to write, like to reflect, think thoughts. And so that is a little bit about me. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for joining us, Rebecca. We also have Charlie. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Rebecca. My name is Charlie. I live in Toronto, downtown. I have been with the Sustainable Livelihood coaching team since the beginning of the pilot. Um, it's been yeah, an incredible experience. The staff and supervising team are wonderful. I I just feel like uh, it's a real kind of family, and I've learned so much from them as well as the participants. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far. I have a background in studio art, and I am currently undertaking a master's in psychotherapy. And I imagine in the future kind of bridging those two disciplines in some way or form. I also have a background in kind of social justice and outreach, which began during COVID. Well, before that, but I really focused on kind of outreach and volunteer social justice stuff at that time. Yeah, and just a couple personal factoids about myself. I love nature, I love hiking, and really enjoy improvisational experimental music. I co-curate music festival called Electric Eclectics, and yeah, I love playing music with people. So very nice to meet you all, and pass it on to Rachel.
Thanks for joining us, Charlie. We also have Fatima here today. Fatima, if you would like to introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, yes, my name is Fatima. I'm a sustainable livelihood coach with NEADS. Um, I have a passion for understanding and supporting others through a social lens of systemic change, and I found that this project has really helped with that. My background is in disability studies, and I'm currently also doing my master's in psychotherapy, and I'm a researcher. My research focus is on two very different areas, but they're both very, very important to me. The first one is building and understanding resiliency factors in minority populations. And the second one is studying intimate partner violence and how witnessing abuse impacts the children and adolescents of those families. As for where I'm based in southwestern Ontario. Um, but for the past couple years, I've had to go back and forth a lot between Alberta and here. And that's given me a pretty good overview of the resources that are provided both here and there. As for my interests, I really enjoy nature and walking. I find that it helps me ground myself. I've been, I love reading books. I haven't really had the chance to read anything other than textbooks and research recently, but I hope I'm able to get back into reading other books that I like. And I've been trying to get back into my creative side through reconnecting with my art. So, yeah. Now, I guess I'll circle back to the Pathways to Employment project. From my experience, I've definitely personally gained a lot of self-growth through this. I think that it's a helpful way of filling a gap that's present in our current systems and providing a person-centered approach for our participants. Some of the feedback that I've received was that it's very helpful to know that there's someone who's there by their side while they take the difficult step of going into the workforce. And one thing that I think makes this program pretty unique, which is something that Rachel actually discussed, is the Sustainable Livelihoods framework, which is a tool that removes the 2D perspective, the 2D view of a person, and it acknowledges that we as humans have many different complex and um, like different factors that impact our life and who we are. And this tool helps us understand the strengths and the assets that we have and how we can work on developing and building them in order to sustainably reach our goals. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, Fatima. In addition to Rebecca, Charlie, and Fatima, we also have Robbie Godet, who is our bilingual coach, Bridget Powell, who joins us from BC, as well as Hannah Brown. And Hannah actually sent us a video to share with the audience today.
Hello folks, my name's Hannah and my pronouns are they, them. I'm originally from the UK, but I'm now living and working on the unceded land of the Lekwungen peoples, Esquimalt and Songhees nations in so-called Victoria on the west coast. I'm grateful to be an uninvited guest on these lands, and I often reflect on the colonial harms of my ancestors and the privilege I gained from these harms. I aim to centre decolonisation and Indigenous self-determination in all the work that I do, and I commit to this as an ongoing learning journey. I have a passion for accessibility and inclusion, specifically how we can improve access universally for all folks and reduce individual accommodation needs. I have experience as an educator in higher education, a job coach, learning strategist, and a tutor. I am a graduate student, having already gained a master's degree, and my academic background is in anthropology, biology, and sociology. I've also completed a learning and teaching in higher education graduate certificate, so I have an educational background as well. I exist as a multiply disabled, neurodivergent, queer, and non-binary trans plus person, and I bring these intersectional marginalised identities into all the work that I do. I joined this project to support disabled people to find employment that works for their needs in individual life circumstances. An interesting fact about me is I have some pretty unique hobbies, including scuba diving, cross-stitching, and artistic swimming, which you formerly might have heard called to as synchronized swimming. I also like to spend time sharing my knowledge of disability justice and making sure people know that disabled isn't a bad word. As a job coach, one of the most rewarding aspects of this work is witnessing the profound impact it has on each of the participants we have. It's incredibly fulfilling to see clients make progress, build confidence, and unlock their potential. I feel privileged to be part of their journeys, helping them navigate challenges and realize their goals. During the programme so far, I've noticed a significant number of participants hold intersectional marginalised identities, whether it's related to race, gender, sexuality, or other aspects of their identity, such as age. These experiences shape how they move through the world and influence their lives and work journeys in complex ways. I'm deeply aware of how social and societal systems and structures can impact people's access to opportunities and the unique barriers that these folks may face. It's a priority for me to create a coaching space that is not only inclusive, but flexible to these unique experiences. I aim to support our participants in a way that acknowledges the full scope of their identities while helping them learn more about themselves, build resilience, develop strategies to navigate systemic challenges, and ultimately to thrive despite the barriers in society that they encounter. The privilege of seeing this personal growth in action is something that I find very powerful and also very humbling.
All right. Thank you for sharing that video with us, Hannah. And as you can see, we have a great diverse team of coaches, all who bring different experience to help support students across Canada with their goals in terms of employment and continuing education. With that, we have had some successes in which we have been celebrating, and we'll highlight a couple of them for you today. Next slide. So the first one celebrates the use of the holistic framework. So this coach shared that in using a holistic framework that includes multiple different life areas in essential building participant career and employability skills, working through the asset map tool. So that was the second and third sessions in which the coach learns more about you and your assets and resources. Many participants identify unexpected areas that are impacting their goals. So in this case, this coach was working and kept returning to the sense of self. And through the participant was looking for a part-time job while studying, they were finding it difficult to pick one avenue and would overbook themselves with multiple opportunities. The goal they set for themselves were rigid and with little flexibility and had hard deadlines. Together with the coach, they explored these choices. The participants started making connections to aspects of their sense of self. They were a person who lived multiple locations over their lives, had experienced hardship in their past, and was concerned about going back to old, unhelpful habits, and made comparisons to others where they should be. This participant realized that they didn't have a stable sense of self, and this was impacting their employment decisions. They were also able to identify that not quite knowing who they were and who they wanted to be was influencing their health and decisions with money to other asset areas. Embracing this moment of clarity, this participant began shifting their goals to meet their sense of self needs first. Engaging regularly across 4 months of coaching sessions, they demonstrated positive changes in all asset areas. Next slide. So the next one is a student who came to the program in a PhD program. They were unsure if they wanted to continue in this program or if they wanted to apply for medical school. So through working with their coach through career exploration, risk-benefit analysis, as well as research, this participant and their coach had discovered the path to go. This person has now applied and successfully has been in med school, and to this coach's knowledge is thriving well. So this is another outcome in which can be supported in the coaching program. Next slide. The third success story comes from a participant who completed a postgrad certificate and was interested in finding their post-education career. They worked with their coach on career exploration, research, job applications, and interview. Although this person did not end up finding a job, they were getting frustrated. They weren't landing interviews. They weren't quite sure what was going on. So with the help of their coach and navigating the next steps, this person has decided to go back to school and pursue a Master's of Education in Teaching. Next slide. Not only do we have success stories, but we have a testimonial straight from a participant themselves. And this participant says, since starting the NEADS program, I've gained a better confidence in my employment ability and overall strengths as a person. I've learned skills like resume and cover letter building that is more in-depth and specific to my personal goals. The coaching experience is honestly what you make of it, and having the option to share and receive advice and tips from someone with experience is wonderful. Having not only really been employed previously, the NEADS coaching program helped me to realize that there are many avenues to go through, and that having no work experience doesn't mean no experience. Balance is also a key lesson I've learned from the program, finding an in-between with work, personal life, and school. I'm looking forward to continuing to build my skills in hope of becoming employed in the new year. So as you can see, many successes have happened so far, and we look forward to the next cohort of students. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm going to hand it back over to Katya to learn how to apply for this program.
Thanks, Rachel. So many might be wondering at this point how you go about applying, and I'm happy to report that the process is very straightforward. Step one is simply completing our expression of interest form, which the links to will be shared in the chat, as well as I believe are also on the slide. At that point, a coach will reach out via email with some basic information about the program and how the process starts, and with some consent forms. So that's our step two. That's the connection point of having that first email contact and the first session with your coach. And step three is you simply begin your coaching experience. I believe we're going to the next slide. So I believe we're at the point of questions.
Sorry, get a nicely clean plate. Right. 1 minute. You don't have a slide anymore.
Okay, so Liza has put a question in the chat, which is how many hours and what happens if we need to cancel. So they're two great questions. The any participants are provided with up to 20 hours of coaching, and the process is quite flexible. Students are able to choose the length and frequency of their meetings with their coach. And in terms of if we need to cancel, we do have just the expectation that coaches are notified 24 hours prior to the scheduled appointment if there is any changes. I'm not hearing any more questions, so I'm not sure how the team would like to proceed, or whether we'd like to wrap up.
And the link is now on the slide.
So as was mentioned, we have the link for completing that expression of interest form on the slide. It's also been placed in the chat, and I will also drop my my email address in the chat as well if there are any questions that folks would like to address offline. At this point, we don't have a designated spot on neads.ca where the expression of interest link is hosted. So at this point, it is best to reach out via email. I presume that we're good to stop recording.